How'd you change that, by the way?
Bro, you just go to
you edit the audio avatar.
But that's not the one I wanted though. But you know,
I forgot why I can't say this.
Bro, I'm dead.
Hold on, I get it. Bro, if I choose right now, like if I choose edit avatar, it gives me a picture of King.
That's what it gave me too, but I would have downloaded another one.
Yo, I'm crying.
Why King joint is literally like, see, it didn't say.
King, shut up.
That is. I mean, what's the image name?
Oh my god.
Let me sip some of this moonshine.
Kim, nobody wants to be you.
We gotta be smaller than 5 megabytes for 5 megabytes. So.
Oh man.
Oh Jesus.
What's the name of
I
it?
don't even know how to exit.
Yeah.
Out of that one, and then
Fuck
the
it,
eye.
I'm putting the picture of King up.
Yo, we got two views.
We got two views.
Right. They like now Sharky.
Oh, that's why I always forget. When we upload from iPhone, you have to like.
Oh, uploaded from.
When it uploads from iPhone, it saves as an HEIC like image, and so you have to go in, edit it on the computer, and then resave it, and it becomes a JPEG.
I just went to iPhone Photos and just download it.
But if it's a photo that like me, Ken, or Keem had uploaded, it uploads unless you have like Keem has a Mac, so his will do it, but we have a regular PC, so ours won't do it.
Right.
Oh, mine did just fine.
If it's a photo you guys downloaded, your guys comes up as PNG or JPEG, but ours from iPhone come up as HEIC.
I'm telling you, just get rid of my phones.
Get your boy, Rick. He be so late to the party.
Damn, man.
You late for everything.
Psycho, you did?
I thought we was coming in one by one, to be completely honest.
Oh, okay.
Ain't nobody said nothing.
Off the introduction type.
Keeps a shot the line leader.
What's going on, everybody, man? Look, appreciate y'all tuning in, man. Look, we super excited. You know, this is our first episode of the Gun Line. This is a podcast for people like you to come join us. And if you ain't got a cigar, you need to go get one. If you ain't got a drink, go get one.
Yes, sir.
Because we gonna talk our shit tonight. So first and foremost, you know, disclaimer, you know, if there's any kids around,
go to bed.
Go to bed. You know, this for the grown folks. You know, we're gonna talk about all things two-way, all things firearms, all things black and beautiful.
The grown and sexy.
For the grown and sexy. You see, I got my cigar. But yeah, so listen, appreciate that. Let me go ahead and introduce myself. What's going on? My name is Sean. Everybody calls me Banks. Hashtag Banks in the chat. You know, I'm one of the owners of Virginia Tactical. A lot of you guys know us. But no, we're going to really get this thing going, you know, and I'm going from to my right, and I got Ken and Aisha over there. Go ahead and say what's up to the people.
What's up, guys?
You can go first. Ladies first.
Okay, so I'm Aisha. I am Ken's wife and one of the ladies of Virginia Tactical. I'm excited about tonight, though.
Welcome. Ken, not the owner of Virginia Tactical. This is the woman I've been dating for like 14 years. I'm just kidding.
Whoa.
I am kidding. You know me. But now we're very excited to be here. First episode. Like Bank said, get a cigar, get a drink, get your wine, ladies, whatever y'all need. You know what I'm saying? Sit down because we're gonna have some good topics to talk about tonight.
All right, then now I got Miss Banks down there. Say what's up to the people.
Hello. Well, I'm Bailey, but I'm going to call myself Mrs. Banks. And I am Lady VTSA. Keep it short and simple. Short and sweet.
Last but not least, we got King Dingaling. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
Let them know now, baby.
not King Dingaling.
Whoa.
Oh boy. What's going on? VTSA family. I am Hakeem, one of the other owners of the company. Proud to be here. First time doing the podcast with the family. So we're about to get into it. Ain't too much talking. We're about to get into it.
Yeah, man. So first off, we're gonna go through everybody. Demisha Elwood say, hey, Miss Banks.
I already responded to her.
Oh, okay.
See, my people on Facebook is, responding. I'm gonna need me get some more viewers up.
We got Miss Brown there say, yo, what up?
Yeah.
What's going
Hello,
on?
hello.
Hey.
Hey, and if y'all not following us, go follow us on Virginia Tactical Shooting Academy on YouTube, right? We're gonna be putting up some fire vids and some content for the community coming up here soon. We got so much planned. I'm super excited, to really get this thing going. It's something we've been talking about for a long time, and the biggest thing, is we appreciate the support, first and foremost. One thing about it is, we love what we do. We do this for community. We want to talk about, safety and education in the community. I mean, it's just so many things we got planned, So first things first, we done got the intros out of the way, right? You know who we are by now. Shoot, man, we're going to hop right into it, man. First things first, we got first topic of the day, everybody. All right, so we got, a question that, a lot of people ask us, a lot of the older community, really asks us when we sit down and talk to them, and that's, what is it like, for us, being Black in the 2A community, in the gun community, how has this, has this journey been for us, and it's a great question. We love talking to people about it, because it's been a hell of a journey so far, and just keeping it real. We Black in a predominantly white industry, but one thing about the 2A community, that we seen the SHOT Show, that, a lot of us are brought together, with just the love of firearms and the love of training. So who want to kick this topic off right now?
Well, I go. Sit back quiet. And you know what I'm saying? I think it's a very important topic that everybody should definitely think about and ask themselves when it comes to being, Black in a 2A community. Like I was said before, it has been a predominantly white industry, and that's, we've seen that time and time again, excuse me. But I feel like we need to realize that we have the same opportunities, like basically saying the Second Amendment applies to us as well as Blacks. And that's one of the things that really drew me into carrying a firearm and training with a firearm, keeping it important. as far as like protecting myself, my family, life, my friends, everything like that. Now, granted, it is a hard industry to get into because there is a lot of intimidation when you go to certain stores. We're not going to name any names, but certain stores, or when we first went to the gun shows, a lot of intimidation. You saw a lot of eyes. You knew you were getting looked at as you walked through there, and it's definitely something to overcome. But you can't let it stop you. You got to know what your goal is, and definitely be willing to spread that knowledge to your community. I mean, it's a lot of different things to go from that. You got anything to add?
Man, to that point, when we first started this, when we started this company, it was a challenge getting in because, first obtaining your FFL, when Hakeem and I first talked about, starting the company, we really just wanted to focus on like shooting and the range and, getting out there on some property and and we really thought, buying some property and going out there and shooting on it and calling it a range, we thought that was it, and much to our surprise, we had to learn through so much of that, right? Obtaining our FFL, while anybody can do it, it's just a hell of a process. Fast forward, a couple months later doing our first gun show, it was it was interesting to say the least. When we went to set up, that day, it was, everybody was looking around like, who are these guys? Like we never seen them before. And then, and that was fine. And then, Keem and I went to go check in, and and she was like, no, wait, the gun show doesn't start till tomorrow, and I was like, well, we know that, we're vendors, we're here to set up. And then it pretty much caught everybody by surprise. And we haven't looked back, and I don't know, it's really hard to describe. Everywhere we go, just about the only black companies there. But what I'm thinking about now, though, that industry is growing. We're starting to see more black dealers. We're starting to see, more black accessory, companies and hosted companies and things like that. It's really changed, and it's changed for the good. It's good to see, more people, more diverse, a more diverse atmosphere in there, when we don't look down on nobody, and, we hope that people stop looking down on us, but, at the same time, we got to do better speaking to one another and getting to know one another when we do see each other out, but that's another topic for later, though, but yeah, I mean, anybody got anything else, in that regard?
Well, just in general, being a female within the 2A community, it kind of like broke a lot of doors, especially for me. I'm gonna speak for myself. No, I wasn't expecting to carry a gun every day or having to feel like I needed to carry a gun every day. But, things are changing, and people need to understand that we can too do the same thing as other people. You just have to do it the correct way.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about how you go about it. Is if you go follow by the book, then you should not have any issues with being a part of the 2A community. It's a lot of learning, there's a lot of steps you have to take. Not a lot, but just the proper steps. You can't skip a step and think you're going to get to the top. No, you got to take it one day at a time, one step at a time, by the minute, by the book.
Well, that's a good point you made. Like a lot of us, we don't do the right thing. We don't go through the proper channels, when it comes to these firearms. We don't go about getting our concealed weapon permits and going to take classes and things like that, and then we get hemmed up, in a situation later, and then we got to fight our way out, or ask, and hope the judge show us leniency and things like that, because we don't take those proper steps. For instance, carrying, in your hoodie pocket or your jean jacket or whatever the case is, your little pistol or whatnot, knowing that you ain't got the first concealed, carry permit, and then when you get, hemmed up, now it's a problem. Now you got to come see us, because the judge recommend, that you, or not even recommend, saying that you got to go take some type of firearm safety class or whatever to lessen the charge, and that's no knock to anybody who's been in those situations, because I had myself at one point, but we got to stop causing a lot of this shit on ourselves too,
Very true.
Inherently, we're looked at, like we don't know what we're doing with firearms to begin with, for a long time, blacks having firearms it's not a good thing. It won't a good thing, or it's looked at negatively, you know what I mean? And we're slowly trying to change that culture. So many people out there, so many content creators and influencers and things like that, that's really help change that the negative connotation, when it comes to us in firearms. But we all, we got to continue to do better, and show the people, that, blacks with firearms ain't a bad thing, because you got firearms, your kids got firearms, your whole family grew up with guns, and, and things like that, and so should we, but at the same time, I don't know. I digress, man. Keem, you got anything?
Shoot, I got the best of going last day. Y'all done covered about just about everything right now.
We just like to hear your voice.
But if there's anything that really stood out from what we try to impose into the community, is to truly change the negative connotation on the black person owning a gun. It's been looked at as such a negative way for so long, and that was one of the main reasons why we wanted to really get into the gun industry, is to truly change that negative connotation and to do it the right way, as Bailey said, not going about it shooting doing shortcuts and stuff like that. We just got to make sure we do it straight up forward and doing it the right way, for real.
And also realizing, to that point, like all of us have already mentioned, to that point, it's not a bad thing to carry a firearm, but because if you took the correct channels to do what you have to do to carry a firearm, you should not be scared to carry a firearm in public every day.
That's correct. And not only that, you shouldn't have that inkling. If you're carrying your firearm the correct way, then you shouldn't feel any type of way or feel uneasy around other people, especially if you see somebody carrying one over their hip, or because you don't know, the next female beside you could have one of her purse. Me, you just never know.
Very true.
You don't. you don't know. So I think just people just have that fear, or just have to get that fear out of thinking about, I got my gun in my purse. What if it goes off? Or, oh, it's a cop behind me. But if you're carrying it concealed the correct way, if you have concealed permit, then you don't have that feeling.
I like to add. Oh, go ahead. My fault. Hey.
I was gonna say, I will say to that, like, knowing the laws definitely helps. Even if you get pulled over, let's say they harass you, give you a hard time, but if you know your rights, at the end of the day, there's nothing that they can do. They can't touch you. If you go to court for it and you still know the laws of where you live and what you're allowed to do with your firearm, they have to follow the laws. There's no way for them to beat around the bush and try to get you in jail or give you no time. You get messed up when you don't know the rules, when you don't know the laws, because obviously, as I'm pretty sure Sean had told us before, like, some of the lawyers, some of the judges, some of the police officers don't know some of the laws.
Public defenders.
Yeah, they don't know all the laws themselves. So if you don't know what you're allowed to do and you don't know those things, you can get caught up by just not knowing. And it's so important to know the laws, to know what's happening and go about it in the right way, like Bailey said.
Self-education.
Mm-hmm.
And true, like it's one of the things too, like we put out to people, like, you know, we get a question like, hey, you know, I don't know if I can buy a firearm. I did such and such and such, blah, 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 etc. We kind of heard all the stories. And it's like, do your research to find out if you can buy a firearm. You know, don't just think, oh, I'm good after a couple of years and decide to go buy a firearm. And then when you're in handcuffs, you're trying to figure out why. That's one of them things. It's like we've all kind of encountered that question at you know, gun shows and everything. It's just, hey, well, I don't know if I can do this or whatever. You know, that's just run the background check anyway. Let's see what happened. No, that's not good. Don't do that. So it's like, to everybody's point, you know, self-education, read, ask questions. You know, don't be afraid to ask a question and, you know, do the research and, you know, find out if you can carry a firearm legally.
You know, all those some great points, you know, which, you know, kind of leads me into, you know, thinking about, you know, what is the importance of, you know, concealed carry, you know, or having your concealed carry permit, because, you know, so many people come to the shop and we literally have people asking us, like, you know, I don't see the point, you know, in having a concealed, you know, weapon permit. Or then you got people who you know, think it's a conspiracy that, you know, having that concealed weapon permit, you know,
makes you a target.
Makes you a target, and you track by the cops and the government and things like that, you know. And, you know, we try to tell those people, you know, and tell them the benefits, you know, of going ahead and getting your concealed, you know, and concealed carrying in general. You know, there's a lot of people that still open carry and, you know, have multiple guns on them and things like that, which I ain't opposed to having multiple guns. You know, I ain't got no problem with that one bit, you know. But, you know, as we're seeing out here right now, you know, so many different cases of, you know, people going for those weapons, you know, that you open carrying just to try you, you know, just to grab your pistol off your hip, you know. And it's nothing worse than having something taken from you, you know, and it ain't nothing you can do, because once they got the firearm, you know, it's a wrap, you know. But there's so many benefits to go ahead and really getting your concealed carry, you know. Because really, you know, like we stress all the time in our classes, you know, the only person that should know you have, you know, a gun on you is you. You know, quite naturally, you know, those watching us, you know, you know that we carry our firearms and things like that, you know. And I always tell people, it's three things you always gonna know, you know, when you see me. You know, that's my wife, my son, and my pistol. You know, but at the same time, though, out in public, you know, at the store, stuff like that, you know, everybody don't need to see that pistol, you know. One, because it for some reason it does make people feel, you know, uncomfortable.
Like they can try you.
You know,
You will be tried if people feel like you got a pistol too. Yeah.
I just feel like you stand out a little bit and a little bit more than I would like to. You know, I used to open carry, you know, way back, you know, because I mean, honestly, you know, I didn't I ain't know no better, you know, until I got in a situation myself, you know, and then it really made me open my eyes. I'm like, let me just go ahead and get this permit, you know, because it really just, you know, takes the firearm out of the equation, you know. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I feel like, I mean, me personally, I feel like open carrying, because again, I did the same thing, but I feel like with that, you basically showing your hand. You know, I carry a gun. I'm trying to be intimidating. You know, now granted, you know, everybody has their own personal opinion about it. A lot of people like, I don't want to get my concealed because, you know, I got my marijuana card, and it's just like, well, okay, if that's what you choose to do, that's fine, you know. So I feel as though it's super important to conceal carry because, like I said, it comes down to that main point we continue to make and we continue to tell our customers is that the only person that should know you have a gun is you. Because, you know, like Aisha just said, you know, you will be tested, you know, or people feel like, oh, so you feel like you're a tough guy because you got a gun on your hip, or you feel like you're a big dog because you got a gun on your hip, you know, and honestly, you know, to everybody, and I think everybody would think the same thing is, I feel like with you having a gun exposed on your hip, which it's your right to open carry in Virginia, I feel like that can escalate a situation a lot more than you will want it to. Simply because people feel as though, oh, the first thing he's going to do is pull his firearm. The first thing he's going to do is touch his gun.
Well, that's like, y'all haven't seen that video that was on, I think it's on Instagram, where the girl was in a store, and it was a guy behind her. She had like leggings. I'm not sure if her gun was in a holster, but it was behind her and she was on the phone, and the guy like grabbed her gun, pushed her to the floor, and walked out the store with her gun.
Yeah, like for those who don't know, like I'm about to pull that up for you.
Yeah, and you know, me being a female, I'm not opposed to open carry because of situations like that, but that scared me. So yeah, that's it. Like he literally looked at her, snatched her gun, and walked out the store.
Yeah, she probably would have failed if she took them Kanye shoes off.
But I blame her though. Like that to me, that's an irresponsible gun
owner. He didn't push her; he physically tackled her to the ground.
Well, I mean, you know.
I mean, I didn't
really have to be descriptive, but you know that right there shows. Not saying she didn't know how to shoot her gun, but lack of knowledge and being prepared for a situation like that. If you're going to carry on your hip as such.
Well, that situation was that was an unforeseeable situation because
it is. However,
the gun was exposed. She didn't think, like I said again, because she feels that she has a gun, nobody's going to test her. And the guy was fast enough, and by the time she turned around, he was already tackling her. So, one thing I took from this actual video that she was, for lack of a better word, smart about. She didn't run after him because he could have physically turned around, shot her dead right there.
Oh yeah, I mean, I wouldn't run after her not to either. Follow him. But my point is that she should have known better.
True.
You should always be knowledgeable, or your gun is on your hip. I mean, even with my purse, I had a lady walk up on me today at the store, and the first thing I did was clench my bag. I was like, "Hey, like, whoa, you too close to me." So
clench my bag.
I clenched my bag. I put it under my shoulder. I'm like, "Hey, ma'am, you need to back up."
I've honestly been thinking about doing that though. Like, like if I'm in the elevator, just clench my own pocket. Like, what are you doing? Like I just have just to see the reaction. And people like, man, you a big dude. What you scared of? Like, what am I scared of?
Right, but I just feel like it shouldn't have gotten to that point where you're gonna open carry. It was for me, if you're gonna open carry, because for her to pull from behind, that's too much for a female. If you're gonna, she needs to be appendix carrying, because if you're in a situation and you don't know, you're right-handed, but you're trying to reach behind you. Me, I might reach too far. So no, I'm gonna have it in front of me where I know exactly where it is. I felt like her gun was not in the proper place.
It was too far back. It was too accessible.
It was literally 6 o'clock on her back. Yeah,
it was too accessible.
It was too accessible. It was out in the open, and there's
many holsters, and there's many holsters to stop that from happening, because you could have got a button holster and it would have been, he couldn't have pulled that gun out. She had it in her leggings.
Yeah.
And typically, you've seen in like movies and stuff, most people like when they're carrying, 6 o'clock, they have like a long jacket on them, like so you'll never know the gun was even back there.
She
Right.
would even been
So-
good to have it on her actual hip instead of on her back. Like
So
she just had it.
Delgado. Now go ahead, Aisha.
No, I was just saying she just had it in a bad place. Like there was no security on it or nothing. It was just back there in her leggings, like you said. It's just in a bad spot.
Right. So Delgado, he says concealed carry is just more peaceful and it keeps you in control. And I 100% agree.
Oh, absolutely. You're always in control if you conceal carry because, like I said, you know where your gun at. And I'm pretty sure that's going to take, into another topic of all of us that, we're heavy on is, are you training pulling from concealment when you carry, but just to stay on this topic, concealed carry is super important to us.
Not only here, so here in the state of Virginia, the benefits, and I guess I'll outline those, the benefits of, concealed carry, by the statute, we still get so many people, whether it's at gun shows or the shop, who literally just bought a firearm, last week or something like that, and they saw a great deal, from us or from whoever, and they were like, man, I want that, and we go through the whole background, the whole background check process, and we just talking to people. One thing about us though, we've gotten to the point where we automatically ask. I'm like, do you have a concealed weapon permit? And the person says, well, no. And I'm like, well, when's the last time you bought a handgun? And they'll be like, shoot, like 2 weeks ago at the gun show. And I'm like, man, you can't get this gun.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, for what? Well, why I can't? I'm like, well, because, here in the state of Virginia, the laws have changed, and it's been changed this particular law has been changed, 2 years now?
It's been 2 years, yeah.
If you do not have a concealed weapon permit, you can only get, one handgun every 31 calendar days. And so some people be like, oh man, I ain't know that, and then going about their business, or look for something else, as other people that's really upset about it, and my thing is, I'm like, well, now, and they just get upset and say, well, man, I should have got this concealed weapon, permit a long time ago, and I'm like, yeah, you should have, it's really no excuse, anymore, getting your concealed handgun permit is just so easy, it's so easy to obtain it, just a matter of going to the class and taking that certificate to the course, like I tell everybody, just on our side and in our demographic, 4,300, Black men and women every year in the state of Virginia gets charged with having a concealed weapon. That's too much. That is so high. I mean, you're talking about close to 6,000 total, and I mean, I'm not going to even, sit up here and, talk about, why, so many of us, are getting, charged with this, but I just feel like it's so unnecessary, because if you got a firearm, if you can legally own a firearm, then you have no problem. You'll have no issue getting your concealed weapon permit, and it really just takes the firearm out of the equation. It's nothing that we should, this is not a charge that any of us, should be, having on our record. I feel like it's just unnecessary.
And it can be avoidable because, when we get those denials, at shows or in the office. We have to attend those. We get subpoenaed to go to court to say this person attempted to buy this firearm. And you just don't know how many people we see in there from a judge forcing that person to take a firearm safety class when you could have just did it yourself. You didn't. They're making you take classes to learn how to conceal.
I want to point out too, to add to that, Bailey, there's no longer, for those that didn't know, you can no longer take the concealed course online anymore. You have to actually go into a physical classroom, which we recommend 100%. When I was just getting into my concealed, you have so many questions that, depending on what state you're in, it should boils down to what city you're in, what county you're in. The government's not playing, they're very tedious when it comes to this, and we should take initiative to make sure we arm ourselves with the right knowledge to go in to own that said firearm. But highly recommend going into a physical classroom, because you'll be in a more comfortable place. You'll be able to ask those questions. There's a lot of Q&A in there. A lot of people, one of the main questions we get a lot is, when can I fire if somebody breaks into my home, without the Castle Doctrine coming in effect? I mean, that's a common question, but a lot of people do not know. So these questions that we get, you're able to ask and get answers quickly because you're in a physical classroom with instructors as ourselves.
I felt like that was a big W, and so many people were pissed off when Virginia changed that law at the beginning of the year, that you had to take a physical class, but the same people that were angry about the law change, literally are asking us the same questions that you should learn in, a concealed carry class.
Right.
Still not knowing the difference, between the magazine and the clip, and, the laws, here in the state of Virginia revolving around concealed carry, the basic stuff, how not knowing how to load your firearm, how to empty the magazine, how to clear the chamber, things like that. But you got your concealed, right? And then you asking us, these same basic questions. My thing is, I'm like, you should have been, I feel like Virginia should have been stopped that, because I know myself when I'm taking a test or taking an online course or something like that, I'm just scrolling. I'm just click, all the way to the end. And, I'm going to try to take that test as many times. And when I don't know the answer, I'm a select B, and that's just how I always been. And there's a lot of people out there like that, and I just feel like coming in, sitting with us for, just a couple of hours, it ain't a buku, amount of time, just come in, for a couple of hours, learn something, and then go get your concealed weapon permit.
That's what I was gonna say. We talk about guns all day, and it don't bother us at all. You may teach us something that we don't know. You just never know.
Just like to add, like, guns, we do a lot of things off like what's your favorite hobby? What do you like to do? Let's just say you like to go fishing. You do your research, you look at the best fishing rod, the best fishing line, what people are using outside, depending on where you're going, what state. We don't take that same energy and apply it into the weapon that we have. Firearms are, though, very fun, it's also very serious. Safety is one of the big measures that we teach constantly. And I feel it sometimes, and, everybody can add in here, like, guns are not taken serious enough to where it's like, oh, I'm just going to go and take this online class, click. How do you know when you use your gun? How do you know what you can and cannot carry? How do you know where to go? What are you doing with the gun? It doesn't stop with just buying the gun. There's a lot of responsibility that comes with owning a gun and having ownership of said weapon.
I mean, not only that, myself being from the country, and a lot of us learn from our fathers and grandfathers.
You mean daddy?
And they teach us stuff, teach us the little basic things about a gun. But I didn't learn how to break down a firearm with my dad. I mean, he just loaded it for me and we were just shooting, and people think, oh, that's good enough training for me. It's really not. You can't say, if the next person don't really know much about firearms, they can't teach you anything.
But
they can't teach that. That's not basic. That's not basic training. That's not, myself, I like to go with logistics. Like, I need to know everything. And that's what makes a person more comfortable. They can say, well, my father taught me this, my grandfather did this, they was in the military, and I've been around guns all my life. Yeah, just because you've been around guns don't mean you actually know how to use one. Or you just saw somebody shoot one doesn't make you know how to shoot one.
It does not make you John Wick, people.
It does not.
One thing about it, though, to Bailey's point, so many people come to our class and sit in our class and literally just shut down, and they be like, well, I already know about guns. And I say, okay, well, that's fine. You already know about guns. And so we ask a question like, well, something simple, well,
where's your takedown pin?
Where's your takedown pin? Right. Simple.
I don't know. I ain't never broke this gun down. Okay.
So when you're aiming at a particular target, are you rear sight focused? Are you front sight focused? And all of that stuff literally just goes over the person's head, and I'm like, well, that is exactly my point. So, tune back in here to class and let's learn a little bit.
One big thing I see a lot of times, and definitely in class, one thing I always take from it that we have to keep telling a lot of people is the second they pick up that gun, the first thing they do is put that finger on that trigger. That's I think that's the one thing we try to get people to steer away from is saying, as soon as you pull that gun out of your holster or whatever it is, your bag, or even if you're aiming it down, down range, if you're not ready to pull that trigger yet, get your finger off that trigger.
Delgado, you made a great point. I'm gonna come back to that in a second. Ken, to your point, so we literally just had a customer. And I ain't gonna put them on blast. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to use this as a training tool. But
hey, don't do that. Don't do that.
I ain't gonna do it. I ain't gonna do it. But it's important to take the class and learn how to properly manipulate and handle your firearm so accidents do not happen. I had a customer not too long ago blow his damn finger off. You know what I'm saying? Just by not properly
clearing the firearm and leaving his finger on the trigger.
Which that's one, and number two, steps in gun safety.
It is a cardinal rule. Definitely.
It's a cardinal rule. You know what I'm saying? And so shooting yourself is, I don't know, it really pisses me the hell off, man, because this is like, as many times as we try to talk to everybody and say, man, look, learn how to properly handle these firearms. There's no reason why you should be blowing your damn finger off. You know what I'm saying? There's no reason why anybody in our immediate circle should, or anybody that's came in contact with us at some point or another, are having these types of incidents, because I feel like that's just a no-brainer, and unfortunately to a lot of people, it's not a no-brainer. You know what I'm saying? Anytime you picking up a firearm, and unless you tending to blow somebody else's finger off, you know what I'm saying? If you want to play with it, make sure the weapon is clear. First and foremost, incidents like this just piss me off, man.
And the one thing, like Keem says, the cardinal rule is you have to understand, once you take our class, it doesn't mean you're the greatest. One thing I know, when I got into it, the only thing I kept hearing is repetition. You have to put it in your mind that when I pull my gun, my finger's not on that trigger unless I'm ready to use that firearm. When I'm clearing as soon as I pick up that gun, whether we pick up the gun and hand it to a customer at a gun show or in the office, am I clearing the gun? It has to be it has to be embedded in your mind to do that because that's gun safety. Like, so repetition.
I mean, even if you know there's no bullet in it, even if you know there is no bullet, please rack the slide.
Just it's nothing. Just
make it a conscious thing.
Less than a second to clear a gun.
Less than a second. Just make it a conscious effort each time, anytime you pull up a gun. Like you said, if you're not ready to fire, make sure it's clear. That's all you got to do. It's
and
simple.
if you want to give us lip, we'll just send King to your house.
So literally getting back to Delgado's point, he says learning the legal guidelines and knowing when you can legally use deadly force is also important, man.
Absolutely.
That's a big fact.
We can go on and on about that topic.
I'm about to say we get a lot of people to say, I'm gonna kill his ass. Somebody breaks my house, I'm taking their ass out.
Two points you need to know: you cannot shoot anybody in the back, and you cannot shoot somebody legally over possession. That's it.
Like, what if I see somebody breaking in my car? I'm gonna take his ass out. I'm like, you can't.
You are going to jail.
You going to jail.
You are going to jail.
You're going straight to jail.
And that person, you're gonna pay that person restitution, and they are going to sue you.
Serious, I'm like, well, but why? I'm like, well, because your life wasn't physically, in danger. Now, we always talk about, who can prove, what you felt in the moment, but if you're inside and somebody outside going through your car, and you decide to say, you know what, I'm gonna show that motherfucker, what they doing and take his ass out. Like you just can't do that because,
and even if you shoot somebody dead, you have to remember you still have to go to court to prove your point. So you just can't say, oh, he was breaking into my car and I shot him. It just doesn't work like that, or he was, he broke into my house and he punched me and then he ran out of the house and I had to shoot him. No, you just can't do that.
Right.
So that's a very good point on when to use deadly force. Your life has to be in danger.
I had a friend of mine, get in a situation, who he felt justified in his use of force. He didn't kill the individual, but he shot him a couple times, and the guy, ended up living, and he had to pay restitution to this guy, even though he was the one getting robbed, and that's a sad situation, you know what I'm saying? Because, without getting too graphic, I mean, if the other person, if you don't take the other person out, now, when you do go to court, it's his side versus yours, and so, like I said, nobody can really prove or make you say your life wasn't really in danger, as we've seen a million times in the news and things like that. However, all your decisions still will be scrutinized, to say, did you have to take that person out? And if you shot that person in the back, that's a GG. It's over for you.
Can y'all talk a little bit about people brandishing the law?
You can't do that either.
You cannot brandish. No.
Yeah,
that is
not brandish.
The thing about it is with brandishing, a gun can be unloaded, and if you point it at somebody's brandishing, they have the legal right to shoot you.
Yep.
That is a no-no. That is something you can't do. You cannot point a firearm because it will be taken as you're trying to use deadly force towards somebody.
So
even not even point a gun is if you present your firearm as far as great. Yeah, brandishing.
So I'm right on, Virginia code, because once again, there's so many people who get charged with brandishing the firearm. Virginia code 18.2-282 prohibits any person from pointing, holding, or brandishing any firearm or any air or gas operated weapon or
airsoft. No, I was just saying that basically, if anybody know, that means airsoft as well.
Any object similar in appearance. So That's a good one right there, right? So you're talking about similar in appearance, right? It could be a cap gun, it could be
Nerf gun,
a Nerf gun, it could be an air like Ken said, an airsoft gun, things like that, and I forgot what state it was where a dude, well, he was a young man. I think he was only 12 though, who got charged with brandishing a cap gun, and that was so unheard of at the time. But literally, as you see right here in the statute, any object similar in appearance, you can still be charged with brandishing, a firearm, which is a class 1 misdemeanor. You know what I'm saying? It says what?
If you live for that.
Yeah,
right.
Honestly, I was gonna say, honestly, was it Tamir Rice is the little boy that got killed in the park for being in there with the toy gun? And I mean, you hope that that's
a neighbor called the cops and said they thought he had a gun. Cop pulled up, and within 20 seconds he shot him dead.
Yeah, you would hope that that's as far as it goes. But yeah, I mean, we're real big. Like, we use firearms, obviously, but we're real big on our kids not having toy guns for that specific reason. Because I don't want anybody, no cop, nobody running up on them and thinking that they have a real gun.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and I mean that's especially with the police, which is a deep ass topic in itself.
Very deep topic.
But even if, let's say, the police ain't around, you know what I'm saying, and you got a firearm on you, and you just caught your girl sucking dick for food stamps, and you want to
R.I.P. James.
R.I.P. James.
Rest in peace, James. And you want to confront the dude, and you say, I'm gonna pull out the pistol, and
basically your life was not in danger,
and your life won't in danger. You know what I'm saying? Like we see so many episodes like that, in the domestic violence realm, and even though that's not necessarily domestic violence, it still falls in that category,
Or like that pregnant woman, I forget who shared it.
Dave Harrison, not for food. Hey, David, you never know. You know what I'm saying? She trying to get a pickle and $2. You never know what she's trying to get.
But I say all that to say, I didn't, you know what I'm saying? I don't even want to talk about myself, but shit happened, and you sometimes you feel like you need to pull a pistol out,
Well,
I was young then, but those things.
You have to completely, it's really hard to assess the situation of what's going on. You can have, 3 dudes looking like they coming up to you, like with the mask mandate. Everybody can walk around with masks right now. Dudes can be coming up to rob you, but you can assume they are. They could trying to be walking past you to go to the store, but you pull a gun on them, they still got a legal right to shoot you if they did not show a gun or anything. So, like I say, to me, it's really hard to assess the situation, especially if you've never been in that situation where you've had to pull a firearm.
And just a story. We had a gun show. I think it was in Fredericksburg, and it was we're a couple. I think they were just friends, and the girl was looking at the laser on one of the guns we had. And she's like, oh, let me see how far this goes. And I was like, point it in the air. I said, and she turns it to her friend and puts it on his shirt. I said, and I pushed the gun. I was like, no, you can't do that. Why I can't do that? I said, for one, you don't know that gun is loaded. And I said, 2, that's brandishing. I said, you can't do that. That's just really an ethical way of handling a firearm. You just can't. You're not supposed to do that. She said, "Well, y'all can get in trouble for that." So no, you can get in trouble for that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I said you can get in trouble for that. Not me.
And did not know. He could afford his
didn't
firearm.
know what was going on. So, and that was just a basic lesson for her. I said, I just pulled it to the side. I was like, yo, don't ever do that. I said, don't ever do that. Like it's almost. almost like you sometimes some things you see people doing things you kind of like, I don't want to say talk to them like a kid, but at the same time it's almost like, I'm gonna pat you on the butt, but this is just a learning experience. Like, don't take lightly what I just told you. Like, this is just for future and on now. Like, don't ever do that again.
Shooting guns can be fun. Playing with guns is not funny.
Right.
It's the best way to put it. Like, you can, like, when you go out there, you put safety first. You're shooting a gun, boom, boom, boom. You're keeping it safe. You're doing your thing. But at the same time, playing with a firearm is not funny.
It's not.
But no, that was a good question though.
Yeah.
A good topic.
That was a real good one.
So no, we appreciate that.
Yeah, we get brandished all the time at the gun shows.
Right.
All the time. Can you take your thing off the trigger?
We get flagged.
Every time.
Some everything. That's hilarious.
I think this is a great time to bring up the Clip magazine terminology topic.
Oh God, no. We'll go.
You want to break that down? You want to break that down, Banks? A magazine is not a clip. End of discussion.
Hey, Nate, man, look, yes, sir, man, already.
Appreciate it, Cuzzo.
Kenrick, what's going on, bro? How you doing, man?
Cap came in and showed it. You say, hey, he just came in and said good night.
Like Rick Ross, he said, that's how I'm walking out.
Yeah.
From now on, that's how I'm leaving.
Good night.
That's how I'm leaving.
That's how I'm leaving from now
he
on.
turned that joke and said, huh?
Got the thighs.
That's
We
funny.
got thighs now.
Bears.
Nah, I appreciate the love, Cap. Appreciate it, man. Everybody that's in here, man, we thank you guys, bro. Appreciate the love, man.
No, yes,
We
this
just
is
coming
this
out
has
here.
been
We
fun.
trying to
people.
be real chill, go over some clean topics, man. We want y'all to feel like y'all at home, man. Ask us, questions. We just, answer them to the best of our knowledge, based on our own experiences, man.
And it's all about being comfortable. Like we all know guns it can be very intimidating. It is. They save lives as much as they take lives. So it is a very intimidating factor when really put it in thought. But what is fear, honestly? Like, fear is the unknown, not knowing. So once you get yourself educated and knowing what you can and cannot do with the gun, how to manipulate the gun, there is no more fear. There should be no more intimidation. The intimidation factor should be gone because going in what you can and cannot do with the weapon. So we like to have fun. You see us laughing, you see us playing around, but at the same time is kicking knowledge to everybody that does not know. For the people that do know, going in and just there's never enough. You can never learn enough. Like, we could go next week and the law could change. So staying up on the law, understanding these things is really, really big. And you don't got to be uptight. We all laughing again. Like, it's guns that can be definitely enjoyable and fun, but with the correct responsibility.
Right.
Hey, Malcolm better preach over there.
Hey, man.
With the correct responsibility.
Hey, man.
King about to drop the mic.
But no, man, look. So, of course we're gonna end this thing. We're gonna go through the list of what we got coming up, man. We got so many things in store, and that's on the calendar for the next couple of months. Of course, we got the gun show next weekend. Cap say he might come on down. That's a good look. We
already know David Harris gonna ask about them $300 Glocks.
Right, exactly.
Will got him.
Still ain't found one.
Man, that is a whole nother hour topic right there, boy. Them $300 Glocks. Appreciate that, cuz.
Yeah, definitely appreciate that. We just trying to keep it real, man. One thing about it, as we get more comfortable in this surrounding, and in this setting, we still got some more things, to talk about. We call it the gun line for a reason. And on
I
on
mean,
this side.
send us those topics. What y'all want us to talk about? Send it to us.
Yeah. That's a
Send it to
that's a
us.
big deal. I mean,
Send
and
it
we
to
still
us.
got so much in store. With so many topics that we do want to talk about. Of course, we want to talk about Russia. We want to talk about, what's going on over there right now, because that stuff, whether people think about it or realize it or not, that stuff still affects us over here.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's affecting some of your
well, I mean, still.
Don't be like that little kid in the class that's afraid to raise our hand too, man. We gotta always ask questions. I still ask questions myself, but I'm not afraid of it.
There is no such thing as a stupid question with firearms. I promise you.
That is so true.
If you're in a class, guaranteed the next person beside you wanted to ask that question. They just thought it was stupid.
Exactly.
One thing about it though, the more comfortable we get, the more comfortable we want y'all to get. When the gun line come on, man,
6%.
I ain't got my drink with me this time, but next show, we're gonna have our drinks. You see, I got my cigar. We gonna relax. We gonna we're gonna have a good time. And we gonna talk how we talk. One thing about it is I ain't afraid to be real with the folks, man. Be real with people, and have a good conversation.
Absolutely,
that's what it's all about. So, those who watching, spam something in the chat. Give us that feedback, because we thrive on that. That's what keep us going. That's what keep us motivated. But one thing about it, we still want to discuss, eventually, the Remington and Remington Arms and Sandy Hook, their lawsuit and their settlement.
That's huge,
and what that means for the gun industry. I mean, it's so much that we want to talk about, and we are, and we need everybody's input, But right now we got a list of things, man. So we got Hampton this weekend. We there all weekend long
in the building.
Yes, sir.
At the Hampton Convention Center.
We didn't had a little time off, which was needed. Everybody to recharge and
who ain't talking about?
Get out. Who ain't got no bitch?
And on that note, good night.
And keep those that know.
Those that know. I don't know. Next class, non-shooting concealed weapon permit class, March 12th, at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. Or actually, I scratched that. 10 a.m. is filled.
2 p.m. has 3 more slots available.
We got 3 slots left at 2 p.m. After that, we got March
26.
March 26. I believe
that has a lot of seats wide.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think when we check the day, that's kind of filling up too. Then we back out there on the range April 2nd and April 3rd.
Oh, that's a good
that's what I'm excited about.
Locally as well. Yeah, that's huge for a lot of truckers.
We're gonna do that one next. That's a good one.
I definitely love that topic because I traveled a lot with my job, so I had to know where I could,
That's a good one.
Yeah, I could put it
next Tuesday.
Somebody say that one, because we're gonna talk about that.
We're gonna put it in the docs.
Because a lot of people do need to know how to legally go ahead, and transport their firearms, and where they can't have, their firearms right now, man. If you're traveling through DC, Lord God, please don't get pulled over.
You're going through Maryland, please don't get pulled over.
If you're going anywhere up north,
listen,
Utah,
I was just about to say anything up north. Do not go up north with a gun.
It may be Virginia.
Be careful.
Yeah, New York, don't do it. Jersey, don't do it. DC, especially, don't do it.
we're gonna break it down. We're gonna bring the facts, you know, because we only want to come bring the facts too. We're gonna bring our opinion as well, but
and also
anyway.
anybody out there, man, if y'all got any information, like I said, we're very receptive to knowledge too. You know, if y'all had some experience, anything on laws, if you had some, experience in transporting firearms and you had to deal with something with, with law enforcement, share that with us. We love to hear those stories as well, man.
Yeah, without a doubt. And but I got sidetracked. So last but not least, like I said, we back out there on the range April 2nd. That class is filling up.
Get it.
Can't wait to get back on the range, man. We got so many people that's excited to come out there and shoot. We excited to shoot. We excited to teach shooting, So yeah, come on out there. Rifle class April 3rd. Intro to rifle. We bringing the long guns out. So we super excited about that, man. But yeah, next week we're gonna put out the information. Don't be late. Bring a cigar, bring your wine. All right. Anybody
bring
got
the moon?
I got some shine ready coming out for next week.
It shines.
I got some for the team for this weekend.
Hey,
I'm gonna bring the Uno card.
Turn up.
Somebody say something about that, Sean.
Until next week, man. Yeah, everybody be good.